She walked into the interview and found her ex behind the desk. Life has a wicked sense of humor. It teaches us that forgetting is healing, only to throw us back to the edge of the same cliff we once fell from. It makes us sign the never again contract, just to tear it up on the day we least expect. This wasn't about the salary, it wasn't about the job title. It was about the next paycheck, stability, the chance to stop counting every penny. But the weight of Monday pulled her into a black and white marble hallway where every step of her heels echoed like a hammer against her chest. The grey wool carpet swallowed the sound of everyone's footsteps, except hers. The scent of newness hung in the air, leather, industrial-grade cleaning products, and a cologne she once knew too well. Her resume, printed on ivory paper, was now crumpled in her sweaty hands, clutched tightly around a worn leather portfolio. The receptionist, flawless in her platinum polish, smiled mechanically and pointed to the last door down the hall. The CEO's office. It didn't have to be him. It could have been any other executive in that towering glass fortress. But the chrome elevator reflected her image, forcing her to face the tailored, simple blazer, the costume of someone trying hard to look like she'd moved on. Her throat dried up. Her finger hovered over the dark wooden door. Time stretched, turned elastic. From inside the voice came, amplified, cold, polished, monumental. "Come in." Air vanished. Her lungs turned to stone. She opened the door. The room was an altar of power and control, with panoramic views of the city skyline. He was there, seated behind an oak throne of a desk, vast like a continent. Alex, his face chiseled into success, was older, sharper, the hair perfectly in place. The watch on his wrist caught the light like armor. He was looking down at the resume, but the stillness of his shoulders confessed it all. He knew she was there. His eyes rose. 1 second, too long. A shattered universe. No hint of the boyish glow that once made her laugh. Only polished steel. Maybe a flicker, recognition, pain, pure irritation, quickly suppressed with terrifying skill, while his hidden left hand gripped the underside of the desk. The silence returned. All that remained was her racing heart, the pulse of fear tangled with memory. "Ms. Mendez," he used her last name. The wall was up. "Take a seat." She moved forward. The chair was too comfortable, but she sat on the edge, rigid. His scent hit her, sandalwood and citrus, a ghost pressing against her skin. "Your resume is extensive, impressive. 5 years in consulting. Why the change?" Her voice cracked, dry. She needed water, or escape, but she held the line. "I'm seeking a greater challenge. Vanguard represents the peak of my field. My skills align perfectly with the Asian market expansion." The words sounded robotic, rehearsed. "You talk about risk. Do you know what risk really is, Ms. Mendez?" He leaned forward. The movement subtle, but the pressure became physical. He wasn't talking about business. "Yes. Risk is putting something valuable on the line, hoping for a greater return. I risk time, intellect, dedication. Vanguard risks a contract. It's not about contracts. It's about trust. 5 years is a long time. Why only now are you aiming for the top? What stopped you before?" He flipped through the resume, those same beautiful hands that once held her. The question pierced her. What stopped her? You cruel bastard. You and that note. Priorities shift. The market evolved. "I'm ready now." He smirked. Barely. A hint of mockery. "Looks like you waited for the right moment to reappear." The word hit her. He remembered. He was enjoying this. She held firm, professionalism her last lifeboat. "This role requires someone to restructure the senior sales team and optimize operations. I did exactly that at JMC Consulting, 18% increase in profitability. Cold numbers. I need someone who can make irreversible decisions, someone who doesn't hesitate to close the door." The metaphor was brutal. He was reliving their breakup, now with power. "My professional decisions are beyond reproach, sir." He tossed the resume on the desk, not angry, just bored. The paper hit with a sharp snap. Good. But this company isn't built on spreadsheets. It's built on loyalty, passion, connection. He stared. He wanted her to break, to react. Pain is just a distraction, she told herself. The silence was a stretched wire. She didn't budge. His knuckles pressed into the desk. No wedding ring. Her own floral perfume was no match for his scent. Her face burned. She stared at the abstract painting behind him. Red and black chaos. Seconds crawled by. What is she doing here after all this time? He tore himself down to build anew, and she walks in to remind him of what he lost, or to prove she moved on. His thoughts were thunder. Alex coughed, regaining control. Your 5 years of experience qualify you. Senior sales team lead, reporting directly to me. 6-month contract to start. Cold relief. Terror. The job. She'd have to see him every day. Excellent. Don't celebrate yet. This is not a place where mistakes are forgiven. Nostalgia has no seat here. He used the word. The rule was clear. The past stays outside. I'll be in touch. Julia will walk you out. He didn't rise, didn't shake her hand. A dismissal. She stood, legs shaky. At the door, she paused, her last chance to confront him. The smell of her own fury filled her lungs. Alex, I didn't come here out of nostalgia. I came because I'm the best, and nostalgia is a weakness I've learned to leave behind. She hit him back, a clean strike, his face a mask. But the corner of his right eye twitched. He felt it. We'll see, Ms. Mendez, we'll see. The door clicked shut. The hallway air was thin, but she was alive. She had the job. War had been declared. A quiet smile, half revenge, half relief, tugged at her lips. The dark wooden door clicked shut in the present, but the past refused to stay silent. The sterile air of the office gave way to the warm, chaotic buzz of a college cafeteria, the scent of weak coffee and aging textbooks. Gone was the graphite suit. In its place, a wrinkled cotton shirt. His scent then was sweat, ink, and ambition. Their first meeting. She had stumbled, literally. Arms full of impossibly heavy economics textbooks, she collided with him as he rushed out of finance class, brow furrowed in deep thought. The books flew. Their eyes met on the floor, both laughing at the mess. An easy, open laugh that melted defenses she didn't know she had. The floor was cold, but his hand, when he helped her gather the books, was warm. I'm so sorry, I'm Alex. Those same large, strong hands she had just seen gripping a CEO's desk were once the hands that lifted fallen textbooks. Warmth spread. Laura. The cafeteria noise faded. They sat there for an hour, letting their coffee go cold, talking about everything except the project that had brought them together. They spoke of futures they wanted to steal from the world. He determined to build something from scratch, far from the shadow of his family name. She dreaming of social reform through microeconomics, big passions, naive dreams. That day lit the spark. From that point on, the days blurred together. Study nights transformed into endless conversations on the stone steps of the library, beneath the soft glow of safety lights. Their whispered voices, careful not to wake the security guard, the growing urgency to be near each other. Their hands met, at first under the guise of sharing notes, but the heat lingered, the electricity spread. It wasn't just attraction, it was recognition. The first weeks were a slow dance of hesitation, the urge to stay focused on school. But the glances in the hallway carried secret promises. The first time he drove her home, his car engine sputtered in the quiet street, the goodbye on the porch. She was turning to go when he called her back. Laura, he pulled her gently. Their foreheads met first, breath hot and shaky, the clean scent of his skin filling her senses. Total silence. Their lips finally met in a slow, inevitable explosion. It was the softest, most desperate kiss of her life. No rush, just the certainty that this moment was the only one that mattered. That kiss sealed a future they both believed was theirs. Weeks turned to months. The romance was intense, filled with private rituals. the black coffee she made for his late-night study sessions, the playlists he curated, each song an unspoken confession, falling asleep entangled on his tiny apartment sofa beneath a worn blanket, his heartbeat in her ear like a promise. The promises lived in the spaces between their words. He talked about launching his own business. She spoke of being the quiet strength behind him. The future wasn't a question, it was a solved equation. He looked at her with such depth, she felt like the strongest, most desired woman alive. The way his fingertip traced the curve of her shoulder as she slept, the silly, secret nicknames that belonged only to their little universe, her wild, unfiltered laugh that made him laugh too. Their world was university, a cheap diner, and the looming future. Money was tight, and somehow that brought them closer. A fancy dinner was a frozen pizza eaten on the living room floor, lit by stolen candles. Luxury was presence, certainty. There was that bus trip to the beach, their pockets empty but hearts full. The icy ocean, sand in everything, the memory vivid. Him lifting her in the waves, salt dripping from his hair, the sea on his lips. Holding her against the sunset, voice thick with emotion and the orange light, he said, "I will never leave you. You're my foundation, Laura." A promise made beneath that sky felt more real than any signed contract. But reality began to seep in. His father. The ever-present controlling figure. The magnate who never approved of his son loving a girl who had to fight. The first family dinner was a cold disaster. The massive table, the suffocating formality. Alex's father, a man of ice, studying Laura like a risky stock option. "You come from a family of teachers, isn't that right, Miss Mendez?" It wasn't curiosity, it was judgment. "Yes, sir." "And what brings you into the world of business? Wouldn't something closer to your roots be safer?" Her blood boiled, but Alex squeezed her hand under the table. Silence. She forced a smile. "I seek challenge, sir." Alex tried to shift the subject, but the poison was already in the air. His father treated him with a mix of disdain and expectation. The pressure to take his rightful place in the family company was constant, an invisible weight on his shoulders. "You have a future here, Alex. Don't waste it. Your path is already set." His path was laid out. Theirs, however, looked increasingly like a maze of dangerous forks. Their first fights, rare but intense about the future. He increasingly frustrated with his father's manipulations. She growing more resolute in her refusal to be shaped into the perfect piece for his world. "I'm not going to be a trophy wife, Alex. I have my own dreams." "I know you do, Laura. But we can have both. We can have everything, if you trust me." Trust. A beautiful word, but empty when he couldn't even stand up to his father. Love had become a wall, and the pressure outside was a sledgehammer. The day he received the offer. The email glowed on his laptop screen, an invitation to work in Hong Kong, a massive opportunity. The chance to build his own empire far from his father's shadow. He was radiant. "We did it, Laura. This is our shot. We're going together." Her stomach dropped. Her family. A sick mother who needed care. A younger sister. A sense of responsibility that chained her to her roots, to her home. "I can't go, Alex, not now." His smile wavered. He looked at her. "You can't, or you won't." The fight erupted like an avalanche. He accused her of cowardice, of hiding behind her family, of lacking ambition. She accused him of selfishness, of running away, of placing his career above everything they had built, above her. The words were sharp, poisonous, impossible to take back. The love didn't die, but it bled, shattered. The silence that followed was worse than the fight. The final days were spent together yet apart, their touch no longer electric, but heavy. The goodbye dinner, an empty restaurant. They sat across from each other, both waiting for the other to surrender, for someone to say the magic word that would undo the damage. "Come with me, Laura. Please. I need you." "Stay, Alex. Please. I need you here." No one gave in. Pride was stronger than love that night. He left the next morning, early. She woke up to the void beside her. No goodbye, just a cold note on the pillow. I need to follow my path. The note, the final betrayal. No argument, no tears. Just the chill of an impersonal sentence that unraveled years of promises. He left without looking back. She cried for days, clinging to that piece of paper like evidence of a lie. The scent of weak coffee and dusty paper was gone, replaced by the cold ambition and sandalwood cologne of a modern office. The hands that once helped her pick up books were the same that threw her resume across the desk. The memory snapped shut, thrusting her back into the present. The weight of that past was the pain she carried as she exited Alex's office. She had gotten the job. The road ahead was about rebuilding a future, but now it was inevitably entangled with the ruins of what they once were. And the past wasn't just pain and farewells. It was that wild, unbearable blaze of intensity. That final year of college, they lived in a fever. The future was a blank canvas they painted together, hand in hand, using the colors of their most reckless dreams. Love wasn't an accessory, it was the spine of everything. There was the time he spent the last of his money on that ring. It wasn't diamond, just matte silver, simple, designed by a street artist. He got down on one knee in the middle of the college square, under a light drizzle, completely unbothered by the crowd around them. Marry me. Not now, but promise me you will. Promise me you'll always be my foundation. No matter how high I fly, you are my ground. The rain washed her face, mixing with her tears. Yes. Yes. I promise. That ring weighed more than any family heirloom, a promise forged in haste and passion. She wore it on her finger, a constant reminder that they were a battle unit, unbreakable. The promises were daily, in the mornings, with the scent of coffee in his favorite chipped mug. At night, whispered between them as the city lights flickered through the smudged window of their rented apartment. His body beside hers was the only place she felt completely safe, completely known. He knew exactly where to touch to silence her fears. The way his arm wrapped around her turned the world outside into something distant, irrelevant. But the world had a memory, and he had a father. The father, the magnate. Family dinners became more frequent, more suffocating. The opulence of that house was a jarring contrast to the warmth of their tiny apartment. The scent of wax and polish, the stiffness of furniture. No warmth, only power. The first real crack came one night, at a dinner his father insisted she attend. He watched her from the end of the table with eyes that didn't see a person, only a liability. You know, you're interesting, Miss Mendez. But Alex needs to be more selective now. He's on the front lines. He needs a partner who understands the weight of the name, the weight of the business. The words were a dagger, a partner who understands the weight. Her eyes met Alex's, silently pleading for defense, for a line in the sand. But he just sat there tense, clutching the napkin in his lap. His silence was her first real abandonment. He pulled her aside afterward, onto the cold balcony, inhaling the night air. You have to ignore him, Laura. That's just how he is. It's not about how he is. It's about your fear, Alex. You didn't defend me. I'll do it my way. I can't confront him yet. I need his backing before I can build my own foundation. It's a game, and you have to trust me. Trust. That empty word again. She didn't trust the game. She trusted love. But the game was devouring the man she loved. The arguments grew sharper. Pride laced every word. She refused to change how she dressed, how she spoke, to make his father more comfortable. He pressured her subtly, saying it was just a detail, just to smooth things over. Those details. The silver ring, once a symbol of freedom, now felt like a weight, a reminder of how much he was willing to sacrifice. Then came the day he missed her big event, the final presentation of the project she'd spent months preparing. He called, voice heavy with guilt, stuck in an emergency meeting with his father about an investment that couldn't wait. She stood alone before a full room, delivered the presentation, felt the void. Her success seemed like a mere scheduling inconvenience to him. When he came home after midnight, she was still awake. The scent of expensive alcohol and frustration arrived before he did. I'm sorry, my love, I couldn't. I swear. I'm not your doll, Alex. My victories aren't optional. He embraced her, desperate, clinging like she was the last real thing in his crumbling world. "It's for us, Laura. All of this is for us, so I can build our future without needing him. Everything I'm doing is for you." His tears were real, and she gave in. Forgiveness came easily, because their friendship was still stronger than their anger. That night they made love with near-violent urgency, trying to prove the physical bond could still bridge the widening gap between their ambitions. Each touch was a silent scream, "Don't leave me, don't lose me." But the Hong Kong opportunity came like a ticking bomb. The email, the escape from his father, the chance to be fully his own man, but at a price. The price was her family, her life. "You don't want to go, that's it, isn't it? You're afraid of being great." "It's not fear, it's responsibility. My mother needs me. I promised I'd stay. You knew that." There it was, the abyss, his pride on one side, her loyalty on the other. He saw her choice as an anchor holding him down. She saw his as abandonment, proof that the promise of unity had already been discarded. Their final conversations were heavy with frozen silence. The kitchen table between them felt like miles. He packed his bags in the bedroom while she sat on the couch, paralyzed. She wanted to scream, "Stay!" but pride, that silent curse, kept her quiet. If he truly loved her, he wouldn't leave. If he truly loved her, he'd fight. He zipped the suitcase, looked at the silver ring on her finger. He hesitated, almost spoke, almost begged, but frustration, fear of failure, the pressure of his father, it all built a wall. He left. The door closed. No kiss, no goodbye. Just a cold, impersonal note abandoned on the pillow. "I need to follow my path." A path that no longer included her. She tore the note to pieces and tossed it in the trash, but the words, the chill of "I," burned into her skin like a brand. She never reached out. He never called. The silence of that breakup became the proof that his ambition outweighed their love. The return to the present was abrupt. The scent of weak coffee and old paper vanished. She was in the elevator, the trace of Alex's sandalwood and citrus cologne still clinging to her clothes, the silver ring no longer on her finger. It had been tucked away in a box, along with the rage and regret. She had the job. But the memory of that ring, of that broken promise, was now the fuel for the war that was about to begin. The air in the office no longer smelled of sandalwood and ambition, but of Cold War. She was senior team lead on paper, but in practice just another subordinate under his relentless gaze. Her desk sat 7 meters from his office door, a deliberate, ridiculous distance, calibrated to maximize tension. Every time she looked up, their eyes met, and the air grew thin. His pride was a contagious disease. He never called her Laura. It was always Dr. Mendes, said with a polished edge that turned her title into a uniform of discomfort. He buried her in impossible projects, absurd deadlines, all under the pretense of excellence and the demands of the top. Her first team meeting was a setup. He sat at the head of the table, the room's center of gravity. She presented the restructuring plan with a steady, professional voice, doing her best to ignore his crushing presence. "Your logistics plan seems solid, Dr. Mendes, but I don't see passion in it. I don't see the hunger of someone who had to fight for every inch." A low blow, a public jab at her background. She couldn't react with emotion. She tilted her head slightly. "The hunger is contained, sir. The passion is in the execution, not in the words." He smirked, that same tiny, condescending smile that made her blood boil. The team, older and skeptical, watched their duel with thinly veiled interest. They knew there was a story. Whispers ignited in the halls and coffee breaks. The boss knows the new hire. The tension between them is its own private show. Coexisting was daily torture. His scent lingered everywhere. His voice on the intercom summoning her to surprise meetings. The worst moments were in the elevator. Confined proximity, forbidden tension. One afternoon, they were alone. The silence was so thick it ached. She stared at the floor numbers. He cleared his throat. "You look tired. The top is exhausting, isn't it? The life you chose, it demands a price." His voice was low, almost intimate, laced with scorn. My life gave me structure. What you call a price, I call responsibility. I didn't have to run away to build mine. The elevator arrived. Before the doors opened, he caught her wrist. A quick touch, electric, years of heat. You're running now, Laura. You agreed to work for the man who left you. Why? Revenge? I accepted because I'm the only person capable of cleaning up the mess your previous management left. This is professional. He laughed, dry. Professional? You're a terrible liar, Dr. Mendez. Your eye twitches when you lie. It always has. He released her wrist. The heat lingered. She exited the elevator, heart pounding, feeling like he had just read her soul. Their battles weren't just verbal. They were embedded in emails thick with subtext. Reports marked up with his red pen, slicing through her work with comments about planning flaws and lack of global vision. He was trying to break her, trying to prove she was still that impulsive girl he left behind. But she didn't break. She rewrote, she replied. She fought his logic with irrefutable data. He pushed, she pushed back. It was a psychological chess match where the queen, her, refused to fall before the king, him. One night, both working late under the dim light of early morning. She was in the break room brewing tea. He appeared in the doorway, tie loosened, suit wrinkled. He looked more human, more tired. I had to become this, Laura. You don't understand. I had to harden. His voice was a confession. A whisper cracking through protocol. You hardened so much you broke the only thing that ever truly mattered. Don't mistake success for humanity, Alex. He stepped closer. The air between them vibrated. He seemed on the edge of confessing something, of breaking the very wall he'd built. She felt the pull, the magnetism of that nearness, that familiar heat. The longing was a physical ache. You're in my office, Laura, under my authority. If you really hated me, you wouldn't be here. I'm here to prove you don't control me. And I'm no longer the girl who needed your love. I need my paycheck. The cruelty of the answer cut her as deeply as it did him. He paused, hand hovering in the air, abandoning the urge to touch her. He turned away, disappointment written in the broad line of his shoulders. You're leading the San Diego project. It's the riskiest one. Failure is not an option. It was a test, a setup designed to break her, but she accepted the challenge with her eyes. I accept, and I don't fail, Alex. The confrontation reached its peak as the San Diego deadline loomed. He summoned her to a private meeting, closed doors. The tension was a living thing. You're behind schedule. If this fails, the blame will land squarely on you. You're sabotaging me, throwing up barriers my team doesn't need. You're doing this on purpose. Silence. A bomb. He walked to the window. The whole city seemed beneath his feet. He looked like a god on Olympus. You think I'm setting you up? I'm preparing you. The corporate world doesn't hand out hugs. You've gone soft with sentiment. He turned around. His face, full of frustration, held something else too, a familiarity she couldn't ignore. You're still the only person on this planet who challenges me, and that's dangerous. It was an accidental confession. The danger was the desire still buried beneath years of pride. She breathed deep, hatred and love clashing inside her. I'm not your challenge, Alex. I'm your new reality. And if you want to take me down, you'll have to be better than this. His gaze turned cold. The wall rebuilt. The humanity vanished. The meeting ended. No decision made. But the lines were drawn. This was not a workplace. It was a battlefield. And peace? That was impossible. And the San Diego project was a controlled disaster, pressure crushing everyone except him. She spent countless nights alone in the conference room, surviving on cold pizza and stale coffee. He was always there too, somewhere in that fortress of a CEO office. His presence lingered like smoke. They weren't just battling over timelines. It was about who would break first. Near 2 a.m. one night, she found it, the flaw. A gaping hole in the financial modeling left by previous leadership, a black hole big enough to sink the company. The blame would be hers. She didn't hesitate. Stormed into his office, the door already open. He stood staring out at the sleeping city. No suit, just a white shirt unbuttoned at the collar, hair tousled. He looked 22 again, exhausted, vulnerable. She threw the report onto his desk. "Look at this. This is the error. It's not mine. It's from 6 months ago. They covered it up. You knew." Her voice was sharp, but seeing him, so broken, hit like a punch. He didn't turn. Silence stretched. Finally, his voice came, rough and low. Not the CEO's voice, the boy she once loved. "I didn't know the exact mistake, but I knew there were flaws. I knew it was falling apart." He turned. His eyes weren't steel. They were glass. "I didn't want you to fail. I wanted you to win. I gave you the hardest project because I knew you were the only one who could find it, the only one I could truly trust." The word cut. Trust. After everything. "You're lying. You did this to test me, to break me." "I didn't lie. I didn't give you this job out of pity, Laura. I gave it to you because you're the best, and I kept you close because I needed you. I don't have anyone else here." The confession was crushing. He needed her. Not as a lover, but as an anchor. A thread of truth in a sea of corporate lies. She felt a pang of pity. But her pride roared louder. "You didn't need me. You needed skilled labor that wouldn't cost you control. If you needed me, you wouldn't have left. You wouldn't have run when things got hard." He stepped toward her, his face twisted in pain. "You think it was easy for me? You think I wanted to leave? You think I chose that stupid note and this ridiculous throne over you?" His words cracked the air. She was ready to ask why. Why the note? But he recoiled, as if he feared his own truth. The wall rose again. "No. You wouldn't understand. Not after your choice. Your choice to stay, to be safe." His failure, her guilt. That old, toxic cycle. She erupted. Years of pain erupted like lava. "You're a coward. You never fought for what was yours. You hid behind your father's ambition, behind Hong Kong, and now behind this damn desk. I was on my knees, Alex. I loved you, and you left me a stupid sentence like I was a mistake you needed to correct." Her scream echoed in the glass tower. He stared at her, her rage a mirror to his own misery. "I left you a sentence because it was the only way to make you forget me, to set you free. I couldn't drag you into my hell. My father would have destroyed me. He would have destroyed you." The revelation hit like a bomb. His fear, the threat, the forced choice. She froze. Her chin trembled. It hadn't just been pride. It had been coercion. You should have told me. You should have given me the choice." "And would you have stayed? Given up everything to live like a fugitive with me? With a guy who'd just been cut from his inheritance?" "You wouldn't have done that, Laura. You always chose safety." The knife of that lie sliced through him. She didn't care about his money. She cared about his absence of fight. "You never knew who I was. I didn't care about your money. I cared about us. And you took away my right to fight for us. You made the decision for me." He clenched his fists, pacing the room like a caged animal. "I couldn't watch you suffer because of me. I had to move on, and you moved on. You're here. You won. You became the successful woman you always wanted to be." She stepped closer, her finger pressing into his chest. "I won in spite of you. I rebuilt myself from your ashes. And now you use me to patch your crumbling empire. You haven't changed a thing. You still think you can control the world." The limit snapped. He grabbed her face in both hands, a sudden, almost violent movement, desperate and wild. His face was inches from hers, his breath hot, the scent of sandalwood and fury between them. "I never forgot you. Every single day these past 5 years I looked for you in every woman, in every project. I didn't forget, Laura. I just learned how to pretend." The confession shattered him. Silence roared louder than any argument. They stood there, paralyzed by rage and longing. Her tears fell, not from sorrow but from fury and recognition. He pulled away abruptly, turning his back to her. The anger was replaced by the terror of vulnerability. "Leave, Dr. Mendez." "The project's corrected. The meeting is at 8 tomorrow. Don't be late." The professional tone returned, his bulletproof vest, his way of saying, "The curtain has closed." She picked up the report. The paper was crumpled, like her heart. He still wanted her, but he had loved her more. He left out of fear. The truth about his father changed everything, but didn't erase the sting of the note. The war was nearing a truce, but now she had to choose. Would love overcome betrayal and the pride still hanging in the air? She walked out, closing the door softly. But the storm still raged inside her. The air in the conference room was as cold as the morning outside. The rage had drained. What remained was exhaustion, and the cruel curiosity of someone who needs to know the full extent of a wound. He sat unguarded, the cashmere pullover over his shirt, the image of the untouchable CEO undone. He couldn't hide anymore. I need you to know everything. Not the version I gave to protect you, the truth that made me a coward. He began to speak, voice low and hesitant. Not about ambition, but about fear. When the Hong Kong offer came, he saw it as his freedom, their future, their chance to build everything far from his father's shadow. He was glowing with hope. He truly believed she would follow, but his father, the man who saw love as a corporate vulnerability, found out. He didn't threaten to cut me off. He threatened to destroy my mother's clinic. He had favors, dirty connections. He told me, cold as you saw him at dinner, "If you take the professor's daughter, I'll make sure your mother loses the only dream she has. She'll be out on the street, and it'll be your fault." The revelation struck like lightning. It had never been about Alex's ambition. It was about sacrifice. He hadn't abandoned her. He'd protected her, at an emotional cost that had disfigured him. "I couldn't risk my mom, Laura. I knew you'd fight for her, try to intervene, and he'd crush you in the process. I had to be the villain. I had to give you something that would make you hate me, something that would force you to move on, to be free of my disaster." The note. I need to follow my own path. It hadn't been abandonment. It had been a cry for help disguised as indifference. He'd tried to become a martyr, too proud to ask for help, too broken to share the weight of blackmail. I became this cold, successful monster. This company, this success, Laura, it's my penance. It's the proof that the sacrifice was worth it, that I didn't do all this for nothing. I had to convince myself it was the price of freedom, when in truth it was the price of my cowardice for not telling you the truth. The weight of his confession was visible. He placed both hands on the table, the muscles in his neck tight. He wasn't asking for forgiveness, he was begging for understanding. "You stole from me the right to choose pain at your side. You robbed me of 5 years of my life under the pretense of protecting me." Her voice was low, controlled, but thick with sorrow. She wasn't crying for herself. She cried for his suffering, for the solitude in his choice, for the life that a father's pride and a lack of communication had destroyed. "I didn't know how to do it any differently. I was a boy. I was terrified. I thought that if you saw me fail, if you saw me afraid, you'd hate me. I preferred your hatred to your pity." He stood and walked to the window, and the view of the city now seemed insignificant. He was a man who had conquered the top of the world, but had lost the one thing that grounded him. "You're not a monster. You're the Alex I loved, but you taught me that silence is the worst kind of betrayal." She stood, not to run, but to come closer. Her touch, her soft hand resting on his wrist, was not a gesture of forgiveness but of recognition. The warmth of her skin was the final trigger. He broke. Not physically, but emotionally. His head lowered, his shoulders trembled. He cried, not with loud sobs, but with the deep, quiet release of someone who had bottled pain for years. The CEO, the mogul, the man of steel, was mourning the love he'd lost and the weight of his own loneliness. The armor had cracked. She embraced him, holding him with the strength she had lacked 5 years earlier. There was no more rage, only mutual grief and the realization that they were both victims of the same cruelty. The past that tore them apart was now the very thing that united them. The truth had finally freed them from hatred and laid the foundation for something new. The embrace lingered. They stood there in the middle of the conference room, the silence more eloquent than any dialogue. The scent of sandalwood was no longer arrogance, it was home. When he pulled away, his eyes were red, but there was a light in them that hadn't been there since college. The choice was hers. To forgive not the lie, but the silence. to accept that the man she loved was flawed, cowardly, but had loved her enough to sacrifice himself. Forgiveness isn't a gift, Alex. It's a loan, and you'll have to repay it with your truth every single day. You have to promise me that you'll never again steal my right to fight by your side. If we're together, it's for hell or heaven, but together. I promise, I swear, for everything I've lost. I don't run anymore. I don't lie anymore. Their kiss wasn't the desperate urgency of the past, but a slow, deep touch shaped by years of waiting. It was a kiss of new beginnings, where trust was being rebuilt brick by brick. The focus returned to the professional, but now with a new alignment. I won't accept the job unless the contract is rewritten. If our love is a partnership, then our life will be too. I won't be your subordinate. I'll be your partner. He smiled, that open, youthful smile. He didn't hesitate, didn't argue about risk. He finally saw her strength not as an obstacle, but as a force driving his life forward. Very well, Dr. Mendes, you are my partner, and my boss, and my future, my love. The commitment wasn't just professional. It was the annulment of his father's influence. They weren't just joining forces. They were redrawing the blueprint of success, one where love was the foundation, not the liability. They left the meeting room. Sunlight finally broke through the clouds, flooding the space with brilliant clarity. He stopped in the hallway. I have to go. I need to tell him the whole truth. She nodded. It wasn't her fight, but she'd be standing in the background ready. Go. And remember, if he tries to break you, I'll be here to remind you of who you really are. He turned and walked toward the elevator. His posture, once tense, was now upright. The weight of the lie had lifted. Her eyes followed him, filled with apprehension and a firm, unshakable hope. The silent duel had ended. The next phase was the open war against the world that once tore them apart. The elevator that carried him to confront his father wasn't the same one that had taken him to that job interview. It wasn't a vehicle of tension anymore. It was a vessel for truth. He was alone, but she was in every fiber of his newfound courage. The confrontation wasn't witnessed, but it was felt, a seismic rupture that reverberated through the company. When he returned hours later, there was no gleam of effortless success in his eyes, only the peace that follows a choice. He found her in her new office, right next to his, now bearing the plaque, COO. It's done. He tried. Everything. Threats, emotional blackmail. I gave back the class ring he gave me. I told him that my family now is you. The words were simple, but they bore the weight of a lifetime. He had burned the bridges but built a new foundation. And your mother's clinic. He smiled, tired but victorious. I protected it. I used the very loophole he created with the San Diego error. He was so busy trying to control me, he didn't see his own vulnerability. It was a chess game, but this time, we played it together. The relief was palpable. The victory wasn't just the job, it was freedom. The months that followed were a marathon of rebuilding. They worked side by side, the office becoming an extension of their home. Late nights were now shared efforts, softened by low laughter, takeout containers, and the reassuring touch of familiar hands. Their partnership was perfect, his bold, ambitious vision balanced by her grounded clarity and the ethics he had lost along the way. Together, they were unstoppable. Under their joint leadership, Vanguard's success was no longer just about numbers, it was about purpose. The once skeptical team witnessed their mutual respect, their unwavering loyalty. The whispers became admiration. The pain of the past became corporate legend. The silver ring, the symbol of their first promise, now hung from a gold chain around her neck, close to her heart. The new ring, the one he gave her months after they reconciled, was simple, strong, a perfect circle. No more escapes. He had proposed without fanfare on the same cramped couch in their first apartment, visited out of nostalgia. Marry me, for real this time. I need you. Forever. Yes. Their lives were now intertwined again, she learning to trust in his success, and he learning to trust in her vulnerability. The way he stopped everything to truly listen, the way she could calm the storm inside him with a single touch. The scene of their first morning together years later wasn't in a cramped apartment, but in a sunlit penthouse bed. The smell of fresh coffee in her favorite chipped mug. He woke first, tracing the curve of her shoulder with his finger, just like years ago, but now without the fear of loss. The scene in a global conference room. They sat side by side, facing competitors. He was about to speak, but paused. She squeezed his hand beneath the table, a silent cue. He met her eyes and spoke, voice steady. Partnership. A day off at the beach. Warm ocean, waves. He lifted her into the water, salt dripping from his hair, and said again, with certainty and gratitude this time, "I will never leave you again. You are my home, Laura. You always were." Time hadn't erased the scars, but turned them into lines of strength. The cold letter was now framed in his desk drawer. Not a trophy, but a physical reminder of how close they came to losing everything. Silence was never an option again. Together at the end of the day, overlooking the city from the tower's edge, she leaned against his chest, his warmth her harbor. The silver ring gleamed at her neck. "You once said nostalgia was a weakness I had to leave behind." "I did. I was wrong. Nostalgia isn't weakness, it's the map. It's what teaches us not to make the same mistakes again. It's what reminds us this view was worth fighting for." He held her tighter. "We won, didn't we? Not the world." "Ourselves. Yes, we won." Their love wasn't a fairy tale, it was a hard-won contract, signed in the scars of pride and pain. They thought life had stolen their love, but fate, cruel and ironic, had only torn them apart so they could reunite in the place where pride hurt most, at the top. Love wasn't the past, it was the most solid present they could build, and from that Monday morning on, they moved forward, unbreakable.